Yo, what's up, guys? Quick live stream. Figured we could go through some bets. PrizePicks has a promo too. It's Taco Tuesday. These tacos, I think they've hit at a rate of like 80% this year. So definitely want to be taking advantage of the tacos. But regardless, we need some good plays, to pair with the Taco Tuesday on PrizePicks. I've explained this before, but on PrizePicks, it may not seem intuitive, but the number of picks you're going with in your entry, it's really important, right? So as a simple example, on Underdog Fantasy, just as a point of comparison, if you make a 3-leg parlay, a 3-pick entry on Underdog Fantasy, any 3 picks you select, you're going to get a 6x payout. Overs, unders, doesn't matter. 6x payout. On PrizePicks, they only give you a 5x payout. So it does really matter long-term, how many picks you're going with in your entries, and what you want to be going with are 5 and 6 pick flex plays. We have some videos. I have some videos on YouTube kind of breaking down the math of why that's the case. But regardless, let's get into some plays. So let me reload this quickly. We'll start with PrizePicks because they got the promo going on, and hopefully we can, find some plays on OddsJam. It looks like there's some bets on Fliff, some other sports books as well. In these live streams, I use a ton of sports books. I use FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, tons of different books. But I've said this in every video, depending on where you're located, you're going to have different sports books. DraftKings is only legal in certain states. So in these live streams, I try to focus on the most popular books, Fliff, Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, whatever. And you ideally want to have as many books as possible. You don't know. You never know which books are going to be running promos on a given day, the best promos, and also which books are going to have the best value. So one sports book that's been popping up a lot is Dabble. This is a new fantasy site. It works just like PrizePicks and Underdog. And there's a lot of value on Dabble. So that's a good book to look into. But anyways, let's start out. Let's just kind of refresh this little fantasy optimizer. There's tens of thousands of lines we could go with on PrizePicks. The hard part is zoning in on okay, but where is their value, right? Where are their profitable bets? So you can see the first play that OddsJam is recommending is a college basketball play. So I know not everyone can bet on college basketball, so we'll go through some different plays. But in the Rutgers game, we have Mag under 4.5 rebounds. So you can see here, all OddsJam is doing, it's all data, right? It's just all data. Is you're going to see, if you look at FanDuel, they have this player heavily favored to go under. So even if, where is this game? So what states allow college basketball, college player props? I don't know, but you can see here, FanDuel has his under favored, same with Bet Online. So these books have him favored to go under, right? His under's the more likely outcome. So let's just go to the Rutgers game. So they don't let you bet on college basketball player props. Only certain states allow college basketball player props. I'm not sure if Arizona does. It's honestly a little bit annoying, but it's just different rules by states. But you're going to see the books have him heavily favored to go under, right? Minus 140 favorite. His under is the more likely outcome. And on PrizePicks, they give you fixed payouts, right? You take a guy's over or his under, you get the same payout regardless. So if the sports books have his under heavily favored, that's a good play. That's the play we want to be on. So what we can do next is we can take a look at this play. So we have Luis Rodriguez. So this is another college basketball play. So I guess there's a lot of college basketball right now, over 5.5 rebounds. So let's go back here to just kind of check out the odds. So we have Luis Rodriguez over 5.5 rebounds. So you can see Caesars has Luis Rodriguez as a minus 146 favorite to go over. BetMGM minus 140, DraftKings minus 135. Even if you don't use these books, they're data points to make, better bets off of, more informed betting decisions. So where's the UNLV game? So let's find it real quick. So here we have it right here. Then you just go to player props and you may be like, I don't use Caesars, but it doesn't matter, right? You look at their odds. They have him minus 146, heavily favored to go over. Again, everything's reflected in the market, in the odds that these sports books are putting out. So if they all have Luis Rodriguez heavily favored to go over, the over is the more likely outcome. That's the play we want to be on, right? Why would you take the under when you're getting the same payout as the over when the over is the more likely outcome? So now we have 3 picks. But again, like on PrizePicks, we don't want to go with 3-pick entries because they give you crappy payouts. Underdog Fantasy 6x, PrizePicks is 5x. So what we want to do is try to find some, better plays to go with or some other plays to go with. We want to find 2 more picks. And you can see a lot of value right now on better. So what we can do, and there's also some value on Fliff and a shit ton of value on Dabble. But anyways, let's ignore that for now. So let's find a couple more picks to go with. So we have our Taco Tuesday. We have 2 college basketball plays. So that's great. That's a great start. But ideally, we can find some more picks to go with. So you can see Siakam under 5 assists. So I kind of like to just show the data. So not WNBA, but let's take a look at the NBA. And let's take a look at Siakam. So you can see here, it's like, okay, like PrizePicks has his line at 5. In general, some of the other fantasy sites like Better, they have his line at 4.5. The sports books like ESPN Bet, FanDuel, they have his line at 4.5, and they don't have a ton of juice towards the over or the under. So long story short, like that seems like a good pick to go with. So this can be, kind of our 4th pick, just following the data. I mean, I never switch it up. I follow a very data-driven approach. So many people like to look at these last 5 graphs on PrizePicks, but again, that's not useful, right? Like historical data is baked into the market. It's already reflected in the odds, that sportsbooks are putting out. And you can kind of see here too, like FanDuel has these alternate assists tabs. So they don't have a line on Siakam, right? Which is a little annoying because I was going to show, but basically like you can take a look here. It's like, for example, for Austin Reeves, his under 5.5 is -106. His under 6.5 is -220. So the midpoint would be roughly, like if you took the midpoint -155 would kind of be the midpoint if you were thinking about what would the under 6 be with the push possibility. So long story short, we got a good line on Siakam, but hopefully we can find some more good plays to go with. So let's just refresh this. And then, we have an NFL play for this weekend. Harrison Butker, under 1.5 field goals. That's one option. We could also go with Banchero, under 8 rebounds. So if we just want to take a look at this quickly, why not? Why not pull it up? I'm already on a first quarter player prop. I gave it out on Twitter, under 7.5 first quarter total points for Banchero. But you can see here, like this looks great, right? Like lines are moving around. This is the Odds Jam Sportsbook screen. PrizePicks has his line at 8. All these other books have his line at 7.5. All the other fantasy sites too. So again, like all sportsbooks set their own lines. The market's super fragmented, super inefficient. So it's like, okay, this seems like a great play to go with. So now we have our little, our little 6-pick flex play that we can lock in. And then what we can do is we can just kind of refresh this, and this will be our Taco Tuesday play. So we got 2 college basketball picks. We got the NHL pick, and then we have 2 NBA picks, right? And again, like out of the tens of thousands of lines on PrizePicks, we don't need a million bets. We're just trying to zone in on like, okay, what are the rare few profitable betting opportunities? So you're going to see PrizePicks, they hit me with the limits recently, $25 max bet size, which is absolute bullshit. And then for this Taco Tuesday, they're only giving me a max of $5 anyways. So this can be the first play we lock in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll go over to Underdog. We might as well go to Underdog next because Underdog had some decent value. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's a ton. But one play, for example, is Jalen Brunson, under 12 rebounds plus assists. If you're looking for one final pick to include in your Underdog fantasy entry, take a look at Brunson. Again, like it's not only PrizePicks that has good bets, kind of depends. Underdog has his line at 12. All the other books have his line at 11.5, right? So we're finding these inefficiencies in the market. And, when you kind of go through the math behind PrizePicks, you'll see to be profitable, all you got to be able to do is win these, your over-unders above 54.25% of the time. So we can go to ParlayPlay next. I mean, again, like we can look at a bunch of sports books. We can look at a bunch of tools. Again, the more books you use, the better. Like ParlayPlay, it's not as popular of a sports book as PrizePicks, but I mean, they give you, it's basically legal in all the same states. They have the exact same payouts as PrizePicks too. Like their 6-pick flex play, 6-pick insured entries on ParlayPlay are identical to 6-pick flex plays on PrizePicks. And you can see this Dabble sportsbook. There's just so much damn value on Dabble, which is, pretty interesting. It's a new sportsbook. It launched not that long ago. But anyways, you can see there's some other good plays on Fliff. So why don't we take a look at this, right? Like the best advice I got, when sports betting. So we can lock in this on Fliff. I'm actually already on, yesterday I gave out an Underdog Fantasy play. Desmond Bain under 7 assists. So now his line's down at 6.5 on Fliff, but whatever, fuck it. We'll double down on this one. So we want to go here. Obviously the Grizzlies are without Ja, season ending, ending injury, which, no good there, but we can lock in this play on Fliff. Fliff has a max bet size of 250. So, these Fliff coins don't do anything. Like what you want to be using is Fliff cash. That's real money. But the best advice I got when sports betting is like, treat it like trading a stock, right? Like we can buy this stock at $115, right? Every other book has this stock around 140, right? 145. So, Caesar Sportsbook, it's a multi-billion-dollar company, really good models, data feeds. They're taking bets, moving lines around based on where action's coming in. Same thing with FanDuel. These books aren't fucking stupid. If all of their profitable customers are betting Bain's under, then they'll move the line towards his under, which you can see Caesars is doing here. So it looks like Fliff is just a little stale, still offering this book at -115. You can actually see like Fliff has Bain's over favored, right? They have his over at -140, right? They have his over favored. Every other sports book, every other data point, right? Every other book has his under favored. So it seems simple, but following the data, a data-driven approach, I mean, which is what I do, you'll make a lot of money. Bet Online, which is a pretty sharp, smart sports book, legal in a bunch of places, they have his under heavily favored, -143. Being able to scoop this up at -115 on Fliff when every other book is telling us the under should be heavily favored seems like a no-brainer, which we're going to lock in. God. So I wish Dabble, unfortunately, they only have a mobile app, so you can only bet it, on your phone. It's not like PrizePicks where they have a web browser. So, I mean, there's a lot of good bets on Dabble, but I can't, lock anything in on this live stream where I could on my phone. But, that's a little stupid. So what we can do here is let's try to find some more plays on PrizePicks. So let me go here too and make sure I have all the books filtered in that I want to have filtered in. So I filter out a lot. I mean, sometimes it's just like, information overload. Yeah, so a shit ton of bets on Dabble. Oh my gosh. So if you're not using Dabble, as you can kind of see, like all these books set their own lines. Like maybe you want to take Conley under 6.5 assists, but if you go to PrizePicks, right, you can't get him under 6.5 assists, right? They don't have a lineup. They don't have Conley's line at 6.5. If you look at Underdog Fantasy, maybe they have his line at 6. So let's go back here. They have his line at 6, right? So a lot of the value is going away. And it may not seem like a big difference betting under 6 versus under 6.5. Underdog has Conley's line at 6, but it really does matter, right? Like Dabble gives you the exact same payout as Underdog Fantasy, a 6x payout for 3-pick entries, 3-leg parlays. So obviously, if you're looking for bets, you'd rather take Conley's under 6.5 as opposed to his under 6. It makes a big difference long term. And again, like it's the same strategy as PrizePicks, though. All the books have Conley heavily favored to go under. Dabble, they give you the same payout if you take Conley's over or his under. So you want to take his under, right? Like clear as day. Every sports book, Pinnacle, everyone has Conley heavily favored to go under. So again, like the market's always moving around when injuries, lineup changes, all that type of stuff moves around the odds, the lines. Like I'm sure, if we just go to the Grizzlies game as an example, obviously the Grizzlies without Ja are pretty big underdogs. But you can see, like, this was after Ja got injured. The market moved, right? The market reflects new information, injuries, all that crap. So you can see once Ja got injured, the Grizzlies went from plus 164 underdogs to plus 295. Obviously, they're a lot bigger of underdogs without Ja Morant, their best player. So a shit ton of bets on Dabble, but let's skip those over. I mean, we locked in this play on Fliff, which, nothing to write home about. Damn. Whoa. So now we got some new value popping up on PrizePicks. So what we could do is we could lock in another PrizePicks play. So for example, let's check out this play. Grant points plus rebounds. What's the deal here? Again, I kind of like to look into the data, just see where is the market, before I place my bet. And you can see they already bumped him up. So I already missed that. I wanted to bet him over 22.5. PrizePicks already bumped his line up to 23.5. So, you're kind of in, speed is important. My background is I used to be a trader, and, when I was a trader, it's like, when you're trying to get to the best trades, you can't take forever. You got to move quickly, and just even knowing how to navigate these sports books is pretty important. But anyways, there is another college basketball play. So obviously I got my Taco Tuesday play down for $5, but it looks like there's some other good bets. So like, for example, if we go to college basketball player points, and let's just kind of pull this up and let's take a look at Fletcher, right? Like, on PrizePicks, we need to win our bets above 54.25% of the time to be profitable. Again, like, I kind of break down the math behind PrizePicks and a ton of other videos, but like, PrizePicks has his line at 12. You're going to see every sportsbook has his line at 11.5 with the under favored. Underdog Fantasy, the other fantasy sites have his line lower at 11.5. You can see the sports books have his line at 11.5 with the under favored. And we're getting under 12. PrizePicks has the line at 12. All of the sports books have the line at 11.5 with the under favored. So that's obviously a no-brainer. Seems like a really, really good play that we could go with. And then we have Jalen Brunson under 2.5 turnovers. Sports books have him minus 145-ish to go under. We're already on Julius Randle, play from last night. Julius Randle under 3.5 turnovers, but now we're going to be on Brunson under in turnovers. So hopefully the Knicks don't turn the ball over a lot tonight. Where is this play? I don't even see it. Did they already bump this? So they may have already bumped it, which is frustrating, but that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So we can refresh this, and you can see they already bumped it, right? It went away. So long story short, like Fletcher, Lawyer, if you wanted to make the Taco Tuesday a 6-pick flex, you could add in this play on Fletcher because, definitely this seems like a great play to go with. Fletcher under 12 points. You could do that. You don't have to, but, some people like the 5 flex. Some people like the 6 flex. They're roughly the same in terms of, when you kind of break down the math of which slip type is optimal. There's not much of a difference between 5 and 6-pick flex plays, but there is a huge difference between 3-pick entries and 5-pick entries, right? So like if you can win your picks, your over-unders, just like Brunson over under 7.5, if you can win your picks, your over-unders 57% of the time, which is really solid, right? You're winning 57% of your picks, your over-unders, you're only losing 43%. Your ROI playing 5-pick flex plays would be 19.3%, which is good, right? But what about playing like 2-pick power plays? Your ROI would still be negative 2.53%. Crazy, right? So long story short, like if you can win these over-unders 57% of the time, you would lose money playing 2-pick power plays, but make like almost a 20% ROI playing 5-pick flex plays. So it really matters how many picks you're going with in your slips. Anyways, let's refresh this. Let's kind of check out the board. So, I mean, we already hit these plays. So, I mean, we already have them in the Taco Tuesday. If, you wanted to double down on some of them, you could. There's definitely some value on ParlayPlay right now, too. I mean, a shit ton of value on ParlayPlay. ParlayPlay, it's not as popular as PrizePicks. It's a little more unknown of a book. But again, like, There's a lot of value on ParlayPlay, so might as well add it to your arsenal. And they offer you $100 for signing up, right? What's better than an $100 sign-up bonus? Like, that's the easiest money you're going to make sports betting, is just kind of, these referral offers. And you can see here, there's just a lot of good options. So, like, for example, this play on Grant that we were trying to lock in on PrizePicks, it looks like they already bumped him up. PrizePicks already bumped him up to 23.5 in Underdog Fantasy, right? You have hundreds of data points, hundreds of books posting odds on NBA player props. They all have Grant at 23.5. ParlayPlay is chilling at 22.5. And you can see, I mean, there's a lot of green. Green is good, a lot of value in the market. But anyways, let's go back here and let's just kind of see what we got available. So Simons, this play already locked in earlier at plus 105 odds and a parlay, and Fliff has a max bet size of $250. So, I would rebet it, but we already have it at plus 105. Fox over 27.5 was the other play in that parlay. But what we can do is we can check out the DGF correlation tool next, DG Fantasy. And essentially, like, correlation, is there anything for tonight? So there is a correlation slip for tonight. Is essentially like, what makes PrizePicks a really unique platform, and same thing with these other fixed payout fantasy sites, is they don't like change your payout based on you selecting a player's over and under, right? We explained that earlier. So for example, if you take Stafford over in passing yards, right? That's not what I meant to do. If you take Stafford over in passing yards and you take Cooper Kupp over in receiving yards, like, obviously if Stafford goes over, Cooper Kupp's a lot more likely to go over, but PrizePicks will give you the same payout if you take Cooper Kupp to go over or under, right? Obviously, if Stafford has a great game and throws for 500 yards or 450, whatever, if he goes over, Cooper Kupp's a lot more likely to go over. Cooper Kupp is his main target, or maybe not his main target, but you get the point. One of his main targets. If Stafford goes over, Cooper Kupp's a lot more likely to go over. So all this tool does is like scan through the market and find the best correlated plays to go with. So obviously these games are a little bit away. So let's say screw football for now. Let's see if there's anything good in the NHL. And there are some good things in the NHL, right? So it kind of makes sense, right? Taking a goalie under in saves, and then, players on the opposing team. So the Flames are playing the Senators. If you take the goalie for the Flames under in saves, then, the players for the Senators are more likely to go under in terms of shots on goal, right? So we have Brady, yada, yada, yada. So anyways, what we can do is we can lock in this play quickly. I mean, let's just take a look. Let's just lock in one quick correlation slip. So what we have here, and it makes sense intuitively. And again, like, the reason this is possible on PrizePicks, but not on sportsbooks, is sportsbooks don't price in correlation. Or sportsbooks, I apologize, they do price in correlation. So for example, if you go here to FanDuel, a traditional sportsbook, it's not a fixed payout website. If you take, Tua to go over, well, I guess they don't have, if you take Mahomes to go over and Rice to go over, your parlay is only plus 172. Even though FanDuel has the same odds on the over and the under for Mahomes, if you switch him to an under, your parlay goes to plus 309. So FanDuel is varying your payouts, right, based on the probability of these things happening together. If Mahomes goes over, Rice is a lot more likely to go over, so they drastically reduce your payout compared to, Mahomes under and Rice over. But PrizePicks doesn't do that, right? Which is, I mean, it's crazy, but it's just kind of how it is. Like, if you take Rice over and then you take Mahomes over, like, it's literally insane if you think about it, right? You get the same payout, 3x, right? Over or under, you still get a 3x payout. Whereas FanDuel literally changes your payout by a factor of plus 172 to plus 309. So that's like insane about PrizePicks and why PrizePicks is, pretty exploitable. So anyways, let's go back to this NHL play, right? So we wanted Tarasenko to not record a point. So we can lock in, a correlation slip as well. Correlation slips can be super profitable. again, the hard part is, so we want this, and then we want Uyghur under 1.5 hits. So it should make sense, if you watch hockey, like taking a player on the Flames under in hits, taking players on the opposing team, right? Taking players on the Senators under in points, under in shots on goal. Like these things are positively correlated. So we want this. So basically what we're hoping for is a bad game from the Senators, right? If it's a bad game for the Senators, right, all three of their players are more likely to go under in terms of shots on goal. And so what we want here, if the Senators are having a bad game, did they already remove this? Where is this Tim guy? So let's go here to shots on goal. Did they already remove it? Nope, they didn't remove it. So we want to take this under as well. If the Senators are having a bad game, their players are more likely to go under. And then, the goalie for the Flames is probably Markstrom, is going to have less of a workload and he's more likely to go under. So we said earlier, on PrizePicks, and PrizePicks has me with terrible limits for these NHL plays. I beat them up too bad, made too much money off them, little bitches scared. They're only giving me a max bet size of $25. So it's not like it's a super profitable book. But again, all these books determine your max bet size for you. And if you start making money, they may cut it down. Like on Fliff, I can only get down $250 max. On PrizePicks, recently it's became $25, which isn't exactly exciting, but it's just kind of how it is. Whereas on this new sportsbook, Dabble, I can bet $500 on whatever I want. And there's a ton of value on Dabble. So some books have more aggressive betting limits than others. So take a look at this play. De'Aaron Fox, over 2.5 made threes at plus 105. That looks good, but I'm already on De'Aaron Fox points, so maybe we skip over that one. But what was I going to say? So, these plays obviously correlated, solid slip to go with. So what we could do is we could go over to ParlayPlay. Let me make sure I have it filtered in because I'm not sure why it's not popping up right now. So let's go back here. And what's cool about ParlayPlay too is every single day, you can only once per day, but you can create your own Taco Tuesday. You can bump a line in your favor. So what I mean by that is let's say you're I fucking love, Joe Flacco passing yards, his over. Well, you can bump the line 5 yards in your favor. So you can pick one play to essentially bump in your direction every single day. Whoa. Oh, no. So we can go back here. We can go back here. But what I was saying about correlation is on PrizePicks, we said, right, you have to win your bets above 54.25% of the time to be profitable. That's all. If you can win your over under 60% of the time, right, you're going to be winning your PrizePicks. Your ROI would be 43%. So it should make sense. Okay, if Tua goes over, then Tyreek Hill, right, is a lot more likely to go over. Maybe if Tua goes over his main target, who's a third of his receiving yards line, right? Tyreek Hill is a third of Tua's line. So if Tua goes over, Tyreek Hill is a lot more likely to go over. So if Tua goes over, maybe Tyreek Hill is 70% to go over, right? So when you take kind of the weighted average, you're winning about 54.25% of the time, and you're going to be you're going to make money. The hard part about correlation, though, is you'll notice a lot of sports books will block certain types of correlation, right? So I'll give you a simple example. Is if you go to Underdog Fantasy, they usually have fixed payouts where any 3-pick parlay is the 6x payout. That's usually how it is. Any 3-pick parlay, you're getting a 6x payout. But watch this, right? If I go to the NFL and I try to take, Cooper over and Joe Flacco over, they're going to say, hey, instead of giving you a 6x payout, we usually have fixed payouts. Now we're only giving you 4.74. So they add a payout shift, right? So the great thing about this PrizePicks 6 flex, there was no payout shift. This was a PrizePicks 6 flex payout, but you will notice they try to screw you and add these payout shifts sometimes depending on, the slip type you create. So for example, here, they're telling me, hey, payout shift. Now, instead of getting a 10x payout for a 5-pick flex play, we're only giving you a 9x payout. So they're adding in a payout shift. But, you just have to be clever, because if you add in a 6-pick, there is no payout shift. So when you're stacking on PrizePicks, QB unders, wide receiver unders, basically, long story short, you just want to take players on, or you want to make it a 6-pick flex play. And again, like DGF, Daily Grind Fantasy, their correlation tool has a bunch of correlation plays for this weekend. But anyways, let's see real quickly. So PrizePicks, kind of more of the same. Some seems like there's a lot of college basketball today because there's a lot of value showing up. ParlayPlay, seems like has a good amount of value. And again, they have the same payouts as PrizePicks on ParlayPlay. It's the same payouts. The only difference is, they have different lines than PrizePicks. Like Connolly's line, it's not available on PrizePicks. Otherwise, I would have played it on PrizePicks. It's not available. So where is this ParlayPlay platform? So what we can do is we can load it up, maybe make a slip real quick. So we load up ParlayPlay. I don't know why I don't see any plays, because there's definitely supposed to be some value, but whatever. Anything new? I feel like I have it filtered out or something. But anyways, whatever. It's like on ParlayPlay, we could hit some of these same plays. There's just a shit ton of value right now. Karl Anthony Towns over 1.5 made threes. All the books have his over heavily favored. Jaren Jackson under 30.5 points plus rebounds. So when you're on ParlayPlay, again, like the optimal slip type kind of varies from platform to platform, because Underdog Fantasy, they give you a pretty good payout for these 3-pick entries. I'm generally playing 3-pick entries, 6x payout. When you kind of go through the math, I have another spreadsheet, other videos kind of breaking down Underdog Fantasy. But you'll see 3-pick entries are optimal. So, it does matter. And you can see on this ParlayPlay platform, there's just a shit ton of stuff. So like the first play, for example, is McCann to not record a point. So if we go here, nope, I'm on NFL only. So what I need to do is go here. And I actually have this play on PrizePicks from last night, a slip I gave out. But guess what? PrizePicks got smart and said, hey, that play's good. So they got rid of it. So now it's not available on PrizePicks anymore. It's only available on ParlayPlay. So we want Nelson over. So what we can do is, again, like there is kind of a speed component here where you want to try to move quickly. Like, for example, this line on Grant Nelson, OddsJam is recommending over 5.5 rebounds. But if you put in Nelson, they've already bumped him up to 6, right? So the value already went away, which sucks, but it's just kind of how it is. Fletcher Lawyer, did PrizePicks already bump this line too, knowing these assholes and how fast they bump their lines? So you can see they already bumped him down to 11.5. We just discussed that play. PrizePicks is still asleep at the wheel with this line at 12. So, again, like I don't really care personally what book I'm betting on. If there's value, there's value. So what we can do is we can go to Julius Randle over 1.5 made threes. They're playing the Trailblazers, who fucking suck. So hopefully he, it's not a complete blowout and he plays in the fourth. Jaren Jackson under 30.5 points plus rebounds. Trey Mitchell. Let's just kind of refresh this one more time. So on this ParlayPlay platform, you can either go with 6-pick entries with insurance or 7-pick entries with no insurance. So we can see, though, you just got to watch out for these payout shifts if you include picks in the same game. So we have Trey Mitchell under. We have, so we have both players going under. We have Brown under 23.5 PRAs against Wyoming. So we can see here, no plays in the same game. So you can either play this as, a 6-pick flex play. This is the same payout as PrizePicks, right? So this correlation, that correlation slip we hit from, Daily Grind Fantasy, 25x, 2x, 0.4x. That's what you're getting on ParlayPlay too. The only difference between these platforms is they have different lines from one another. But anyways. But what I'll do is I'll just play this as a 7-pick entry. 7-pick entries are, a little, technically a tiny bit better in terms of the implied odds. But the thing is like, they're going to hit so rarely. It's a 75x payout. So even though it's like, so you can see they already moved this play on Mag, but we already got it on PrizePicks. So it's kind of, it's whatever. We can take Oliver under half of a point, but this plays in the same game as that play on McCann we already have. So it doesn't really make sense to pair together. So what we can take is Trey Mitchell under 12.5 points. Right. And there we go. We have a nice little 7-pick entry. We can lock it in. Right. And we already have this on PrizePicks, 1 pick, and then we have our Taco Tuesday play. But anyways, let's go back here. Let's see what else is available. What else is in the market? And again, depending on the books you use, FanDuel, DraftKings, like, I don't know what books you use. There's usually really good value on FanDuel. You can see they already moved this line. Luka's over 34.5. They had it at plus 110, and then they ripped it. Boom, down to plus 100. So a lot of the value goes away. But you can see there's, usually FanDuel's a pretty good book. And I just have the games for today filtered in. I don't, really care about NFL betting right now. Maybe another day, but not right now. Not right now when we have 5 NBA games tonight and a shit ton of NHL. So anyways, we can go back to Underdog. I kind of bounce around from book to book. Sometimes there's more value on Underdog. Sometimes it's PrizePicks, but the board's pretty dry at this point. So whatever. So if you're just tuning in, we hit Bane under 6.5 assists at minus 115 on Fliff. We hit this for Taco Tuesday. And then we hit this 6-pick flex play with correlation from the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. Hopefully this was helpful. And thanks so much for your time.